Okay, well, good afternoon. We reviewed the tape on Sunday from Saturday's game, and I thought the guys played really hard. I thought we were really focused, had great energy. I thought we dominated the game from start to finish. I was really pleased offensively with how we were able to run the football, how we were able to convert on third down and shoot. We held the thing for over 40 minutes, which usually leads to a pretty successful day. And then on defense, one key thing that we talked about that we didn't do well against Montana, which we had to do, is win on third down and get off the field. And I think those guys were 1 for 13 and enabled us to get off the field and get the ball back to our offense, which obviously did a great job putting up almost 600 yards. So really pleased with the guys on how they played on Saturday, but in the same respect, we know we've got to shore up a lot of mistakes we made. We can't turn the ball over. We can't give up a big play. We've got to improve on all of our special teams, although I was pleased with what Cam did. So by no means did we have a perfect performance. We've got to do some things to get better, but really pleased with the outcome and how the guys performed. So I'll open up for questions.
Coach, describe this week. Is this one that you look forward to, dreading? Where is your emotion heading this week?
Well, it's new. So, I mean, I haven't experienced the game or the rivalry, but I'll look forward to the week just like any other week as far as just preparing to play a game. And for us, this is such a critical week. Being our last non-conference game, we've got to get so many of these young guys a lot of reps. And you saw a lot of those guys out there on last Saturday. Now, the game's got a higher magnitude because it's an in-state game, and our guys got to play at a high level. But it'll be business as usual once we start today with our preparation.
Coach, the way King played against Montana, the way Chase played on Saturday, how confident are you in the running game right now and how good it's been?
Well, it's been pretty good, and you got to throw Lance Dunn in there, and Lance had one long run taken away from him on a holding penalty, but Lance is doing some good things. Bruce Anderson's doing some good things. I mean, we're not going to just lock into one guy. We can't. That's just not what we are. I don't know if one of those guys could be a 30 carry guy player right now, so we're going to keep playing all four, and even Darius Anderson's probably got to get in that mix a little bit more. So I'm confident in the running game, but it's still going to be by committee.
We saw you shuffle in a lot of guys on the O-line. Were you pleased with what you saw out of those young guys?
Yeah, I really was. Tanner Volson really stuck out to me as doing a nice job for the snaps he had. Zach Zemer, who started in place of Zach Johnson, I thought played really well. When you're playing alongside of Joe Haig, you look a lot better, I think, at times, as far as Joe Haig really dominated that football game. The more you watch him up close, it was as good as I've seen Joe Haig play, and pushing the line of scrimmage and controlling things. And Joe was a dominant football player, and it led to us being really successful running the football. But all those other young guys are going to continue to progress this week, and they're going to take a lot of reps, and they're going to have to play some.
Gets healthy again, do you see yourselves keeping a healthy rotation in there?
Yeah, but probably limited with those guys spelling, the Zachs and Jack Plankers and those guys. But they're going to have to be able to get us through a game, a spot start, or if somebody gets nicked up throughout our conference season. These reps are getting not only in the game last week, but the practice the week before, and then practice this week and game. It's going to be invaluable to those guys.
You said Volson stood out to you. Did he kind of up his stock maybe in his playing time?
Well, it just depends. Not necessarily. I mean, he does some things really well, and he's got to improve in some areas. But I thought he did some good stuff. So we'll kind of see how this week works out. That's one great thing about young offensive linemen is the practice is so valuable for those guys. And Coach Riley and Coach Polsek will evaluate those guys as the week goes on to say, are we going to play Volson a little bit more? Are we going to play Zemer? Are we going to play Triplett? We're going to play Bacon. And those guys got to continue to improve at practice.
During the game, the defense definitely got your blood pumping a couple of times. What were you seeing out there that was maybe frustrating you, and what's the pressure point that you guys need to improve on this week that you saw on the tape?
Well, the only thing that really disappointed me was the big play. I mean, it was a technique error, and we can't have that happen. And it wasn't just that play; it was a sequence of plays. We turned the ball over which took all the momentum away. Or we're going to go up 14-0, and we could have been up 42-0 at halftime. In reality, if we had kept it in and scored there, but then how that flipped, and it was a potential 14-0 game to a 7-7 game, and all the momentum's on their sideline. That's what I was frustrated about. But our guys responded and really rallied in that second quarter and took that momentum back. And it started with Carson, because Carson had an unbelievable second quarter. Obviously, Chase was special there too, but Carson really led us on offense.
How did Carson come out of the game?
Really well. I thought he was sore a little bit on Sunday. I visited with him on Sunday, but didn't re-injure or anything, and he'll be full go this week.
Anything stand out to you, surprise you when you look at North Dakota on tape at all, Chris?
Well, I know how good they are on defense, how physical they are. I think Bubba does a great job. Schmidt does a great job. I mean, you can watch from Southern when I was at Northern Iowa playing them to when I've been here and playing them. They're so sound defensively. They create so many issues because they've got such a great blitz package. The guys know their defense. So they've been playing at a really high level defensively, and I've been really impressed with the quarterback and running back in the first couple games.
North Dakota's rush defense has barely given up any yards, and you guys pride yourselves on running the football. Is there going to be a charge to the O-line and the backs to, take advantage of the game?
Well, it'll be a challenge. There's no question. They do a great job of controlling the run and making you one-dimensional. Now, that being said, we still have to try to run the football. We've got to be able to establish the line of scrimmage. We're not a team that's going to go throw it 50 times and think we're going to come out with a win. That's just not our game plan, and it's not something that we would be successful. So we've got to be able to run the ball. We've got to be creative in maybe how we do it, because the great thing for us is to watch the Wyoming stuff and see what they did, because there's some parallels. We do some things differently than Wyoming. We're doing a lot more things differently on both sides of the ball than you would have said people would think from afar. But we've got a great challenge ahead of us rushing the football, and we've got to find a way to establish a run.
Are you still similar to Wyoming, West Coast offense, or is that where you're getting at?
Yes and no. As far as the formations you'd see, yes, Jeff. The plays are quite a bit different anymore.
Are you going to address the kids at all about this week with all social media, everything going on in the world today? There's going to be a bunch of stuff going around about NDSU. Are you going to make any special mention to the kids about that or anything?
Yeah, we already did. And just our focus has to be on preparing for the next football game. I realize the importance of this game, but we can't get caught up in that from a player's perspective. We were really good last Saturday because our guys were focused at practice Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at the task at hand. And we have to do that this week as well. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more media around because of the game, but we can't get caught up in that. The guys can't. They've got to focus on their job and what they have to do to be successful on Saturday.
Old coaches like Rocky Hager and Roger Thomas used to really embrace this week and make no secret that it was a big deal and all that stuff. Is there any of that from you at all, just strictly this is a business?
No, it's a big game in the fact of it means a ton to our university, means a ton to our alums that played in this, but in the same respect, we're not in the same conference. We're not both competing for standings, so to speak, in the old North Central, so to speak. And so, our guys will understand it, especially the kids from North Dakota, Minnesota. They understand the importance of the rivalry, but I also know you put too much stock into that and get all your emotion up for one game. How do you get your emotion up for the next game? And I really caution everybody to be on a roller coaster, because if we're high one week, how do you get them back up next week? In the next game we have is South Dakota State, and that'll be the most important game at that time. So right now our most important game is North Dakota and preparing for our last non-conference game.
Do you know a lot about the history of the rivalry and all that stuff?
I've learned quite a bit, in talking to Don Morton and in talking to Simmers and talking to Mike Favor and Snuffy Byers and Chad Stark. I mean, all the guys that I reach out to, you bet. And that was also when it was played every year too. So we'll focus on this game, but our guys understand the importance.
Did you ever see that documentary Fire and Ice?
Pardon me?
Did you ever see the documentary when it's called Fire?
I have not seen that, Jeff.
What did some of those old guys you talked to say about the rivalry game to you?
Just how important it is for the program, how important it is for our alums, how important it is, and how it's going to be a physical game. And it doesn't, guys, it doesn't matter if it's North Dakota, and I know that is this week, or if it's Weber State, or if it was South Dakota State or Coastal Carolina, whoever. Everybody's going to give the Bison their best shot. You know, we're still at a place where, you know, we've lost 2 games since I've been head coach, and they've bum rushed the field both times, right? At Northern Iowa and at Montana. So, guys, everybody, it doesn't matter who you are, gives the Bison their best shot. And there's going to be no different this weekend. UND will be fired up, ready to play, and I think it's going to be a 4-quarter great football game.
Coach, what does Keaton Studzer do so well at quarterback and give you some problems on Saturday?
Well, I like the way he's composed in the pocket. He's athletic enough to get out of the pocket and make some plays. He looks coverages off. He looks really comfortable out there. Now, granted, this is just through the couple games that I've seen, but I've been really impressed with his poise, his athleticism, his ability to throw the football. He's a really good quarterback.
Were you surprised? Sorry, were you surprised at all the way John Santiago had success for them on the ground, being a kid who hasn't had a lot of experience at running back, come in and do what he did against Wyoming?
Yeah, well, they blocked really well up front. I thought they dominated the line of scrimmage. I mean, that's the thing that jumps out at you when you watch that game in particular, is their front knocked Wyoming's front off the football, and he was a special player. He made people miss. He beat you with speed. You know, he was a powerful guy. I was really impressed just in general with not only that young man, but how they knocked him off the football.
Chris, how do you feel about your defensive line after 2 games?
You know, I'm really impressed with our defensive tackles right now. I think Nate and Brian are playing really well. We were able to spell them last week with Steidel, who's getting better and better, and I've been really impressed with Aaron. Aaron was our player of the game in the defensive tackle position. He's going to allow those Brian and Nate to get a few more reps off and be fresh as the 3rd and 4th quarter go along. Brad Ambrosius is playing at a high level. Greg Menard's doing some really nice things. And then Stanley Jones is coming in and giving us a lift there from a pass rush standpoint. And Stan just needs reps. And more reps he gets, you know, he missed all of spring ball. So the more reps he gets, you know, the closer he's going to be to playing 30 plays a game rather than 15 to 20. So we're on probably a 6 to 7 man rotation right now, and very pleased with how they're playing.
You said Pierre had maybe a concussion. How did that end up?
He did, but I was on a special teams play, but I had word that he passed the concussion protocol, so he'll probably sit today, but he'll be ready to play from what I understand.
Is there anybody else that's going to be missing time for this game?
Only other one that was nicked up, I thought, was Jalen Wimbush, backup safety, and his was a concussion, but I didn't hear any more about how he would be.
Robbie Grimsley progressing. He's been involved in a couple of plays that have not gone the right way for NDSU.
Yeah, and he's been involved in a couple of plays. He's made some really good plays for an 18-year-old kid. So Robbie's going to be a really good football player here, and he's continuing to learn. But for us to be successful, whether it's Robbie Grimsley or Jalen Allison or Andrew Smith, those guys have to step up and be counted on for us to make some plays, and he'll get better. I'm confident in Robbie. He's a really confident young man with a lot of ability, and he just got to continue to get reps and learn, but he'll be all right.
Lynn's got some opportunities at kick returning. Is that something that you're going to probably maybe tinker a little more with as the season goes along, Chris?
Well, we need to see what Bruce can do back there as well. We're trying to find out between Dimitri and Bruce if they can do it from a speed standpoint and hit that thing. Dimitri didn't get enough opportunities on Saturday. There was one kick short that he didn't really get a chance to hit it. So we're going to keep working both those two guys back there. We took Perk off it last week. He had a turf toe, so we just wanted him to return some punts. Plus, we wanted to see if some of those younger guys could do it on a kick return scenario. So we'll keep looking at all 3 of those guys, and then we'll also look at CJ a little bit on punts this week.
You've been in this building for some big games. How do you think Saturday will compare?
I don't know. It's going to be hard to beat some of those games we've had in here with Sam Houston and Georgia Southern and stuff. But I know this. It's going to be an electric atmosphere. Our fans are looking forward to this. Our players are looking forward to this. Our alums are looking forward to this. The community in our university are looking forward to this. It's going to be a fun atmosphere. It's going to be a really good football game, I think, between two pretty good teams.
Is there any chance, like, you kind of threw Easton in for a series or two, that you'll do that again?
Potentially. We saw some really good things out of Easton, and he's a special talent that we'd like to continue to get reps to, because you never know, whether it's this year or down the line for years to come. He needs to continue to get some snaps. Now, whether or not it's this week, every game's probably going to be a little bit different based on what we're seeing defensively.
Coach, the game is scheduled in 19. Would you like to see it continue on down the road?
I'm worried about this one. Maybe that one's a question for Matt. Let's just play this one and focus on that, and we'll go from there.